Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Only at Outlet Liquor.
What's your outlet?
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 89 of Two Goalies, One Mic. I'm Johnny Cullen, live from a pro shop at Hyde Park in Niagara Falls, joined alongside Duane Steinau. We are very lucky to be joined by the one and only ESPN stalwart, keeping hockey alive from Chicken Parm to Bucci OT Challenge, John Buccigross. Really happy to have him on. Thanks for your time, John.
Well, before we bring him in, I got a special introduction for the Bucci man himself. Here we go.
Smell what the Rock is cooking. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. We're stuck. We suck.
Thanks for being here, John. That's a big fan of yours, man. Everything you do for ESPN, from college hockey to now having the NHL back. We're excited to have you here, especially with Jack Eichel coming back to Buffalo with Vegas. Thanks for joining us here.
You bet. Good to be here. Always love talking hockey with hockey people.
Yeah, I appreciate you hopping on with us, Bucci. I know we've kind of played a little bit of phone tag back and forth for a little bit here. Huge fan of yours, man. Everything you do, especially since the NHL has returned to ESPN, long overdue, if you ask me. You've been a real integral part of that. You've been a real big ambassador for the game of hockey at all levels. So again, I really appreciate you hopping on with us, man.
Yeah, it's been a good run. Been lucky. And hockey's contributed a lot to my life. All my best moments are around the sport. So it's going great at ESPN. The train keeps rolling. I've been very lucky.
We like to say that we do like to say that at Trainwreck Sports. This train never stops, and especially not tonight here with you on Two Goalies, One Mic, and tomorrow with the return of Jack Eichel to Buffalo. It's after a very unceremonious breakup, the trade, everything that went down, the fight between doctors, and just it's being a Buffalo Sabres fan isn't easy enough, isn't very easy to begin with, especially over the last 5-6 years. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. But then to kind of have it all top off with the exit interviews last year between both him and Sam Reinhart, the disconnect, and now to get into that trade, which, Buffalo did a hell of a job, I think, with Alex Tuch, a guy who, he might be the only guy who would have been smiling as much as he was and as happy as he was when he found out he was getting traded from Vegas to Buffalo. A guy who truly didn't want to be here, Peyton Krebs in the draft picks. So, it's, this has been a date that's been circled on everybody's calendars.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate way it ended, and still kind of perplexed why the Sabres had the attitude they did towards Eichel and the surgery he wanted. It didn't seem like that it was that difficult of a thing when a guy like that, your star, wants to do something. I don't know if that would have mattered in the end, if it could have saved the relationship. But, yeah, at that point, you move on and do the best you can. Like you said, I think they did okay getting someone like Tuch, and we'll see how Krebs works out and the draft pick works out. And all you can do now is go forward and try to keep accumulating good players. And looks like they're slowly doing that. You hope they can, with Owen Power coming probably next month when Michigan season's over. I'm sure he'll sign up and play some games here this year to get an idea and get his career going. And then it's just a matter of, do you trade for a Jacob Chikrin to put with him and try to create these pairs on D and get Dahlin a partner that fits him the best. And so it's going to be I think it's somewhat of an exciting time. I think they do have hope. I think they got some pieces. Now you got to continue to bring the right pieces in, get lucky in the draft, maybe get a free agent or two, and obviously get great goaltending, which you're going to have anyway. So I think there's some hope now for the Sabres.
Yeah, you brought up goaltending, and we've talked about it. Like, it's tough being in the spot. They're obviously not contenders this year. And, we've had a couple of games, more than a couple, that, had we had replacement average goaltending, could they have gone the other way? Yes. Does it matter in the long term? No. I think Kevin Adams is doing the best job he can. Like you mentioned earlier, and Duane brought up, perplexing is a great word to use with how the Eichel drama went down. You'd like to think that an organization would treat their star player better, but I think you hit on a key point. Would it have mattered at that point? I think the writing was on the wall. You go back to, consistency in an organization, from the coaches and the GMs, from the O'Reilly trade, and everything that could go wrong can go wrong, back to a rebuild where we were when we were tanking for McDavid or Eichel. So you touch on it a lot in your play-by-play and your color commentary, but you need consistency, whether it's at the college level, the NHL level. And I hope we start to see that from Kevin Adams in the front office, because Buffalo is such a great hockey town. You've always been a fan of Buffalo. I just wanted to know, what is it that made it so special about Buffalo? I don't know if you've been here for all the Frozen Fours. We've had quite a few. I remember Thomas Vanek back in the early 2000s with Minnesota, but you've always done such a great job with college hockey at ESPN and being the life you and Barry over the years. So have it coming back has been great. So what is it about Buffalo that you've always, kind of gravitated towards?
Well, I was born in Pittsburgh, and I grew up in Western Pennsylvania. Then I moved to Steubenville, Ohio, which is kind of a tough blue-collar steel mill town. Lived there from age 11 through college. And so just, those are kind of places that I used to growing up in, blue-collar places, big sports cities. I love sports. And so that's why it's just been very comfortable. It has that Pittsburgh, Steubenville, Ohio feel for me. And so I kind of like that. And yeah, it's just a matter of getting some momentum here with the organization. It didn't happen with Eichel. And then the same with Reinhart, who found a good situation in Florida. So it's just accumulating pieces. And I think Kevin Adams is kind of the guy in personality, hopefully, to do it. We'll see how much the Pagulas get involved and what happens there as well, and how much of, if they were a problem at all in all this. So I do think they're on the right track. They're starting to get some traction here. And it's just going to be fun to watch. But I really do think there's some hope there now. I really think there's actually a reason that things can begin to go upward and not go up and down in a seesaw fashion, which seems to be the case the last few years. And, like you said, maybe Eichel had enough, and just like, maybe Connor McDavid's going to go to Edmonton this summer and he'll want to move. It's like, it's been too long. I'm in my mid-20s. I made my money. I'm accumulating my stats. Now I want to win and have that impact. And, maybe McDavid will do that, or maybe he'll give it another year. But at some point, they're going to do it. These great generational players are going to run out of patience and then ask for a trade somewhere that can be better. It's part of the sporting life for the kind of underdog markets.
And everybody knows that trade request actually came the year before. Jack approached the organization about possibly moving him, and then in comes Taylor Hall. They convinced him, please just stick it out for us this year. Let us try and do something more in the now. They made moves for Eric Stahl. Again, Taylor Hall, that didn't work out. Really blew up in Buffalo's face. And obviously, you can't predict the Jack Eichel injury with the herniated disc in his neck. And then you see, the Emily Kaplan interview that she just posted today that I was able to watch, and just kind of like his frustrations as they grew. He felt like he was being toyed with by the organization when he was asked to not show up to training camp. And then he knew a few days ahead of time, but then being stripped of the C, he said he found out in his driveway, in his car in his driveway, that he was getting stripped of the C, which is unbelievable to me. That that's how he found out. A phone call from Kevin Adams, while he's just pulling into his driveway, and just everything that went down, it couldn't have been more messy. And now you kind of, things kind of coming full circle. You know, the deal's done. Alex Tuck has really kind of taken a huge leadership role with this team. And now you come in here, the homecoming of Jack Eichel tomorrow night on ESPN Plus. Obviously, we'll see you there. You know, couldn't think of a better guy to really host such a kind of an event. I can't even find a word, an unprecedented event here in Buffalo. A guy like you to host it, and you know what will the fan reaction be? Personally, if you ask me, I think it's gonna be very mixed. I think there's still, like, you know, the band that, you know, the wound is still pretty fresh here in Buffalo.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be mixed at all. I think it's going to be one-sided, and it won't be good for Jack, I think.
You don't think so?
Oh yeah, I think they'll be booing, and they might boo over the Jumbotron video. They might boo every time he touches the puck early. That's what I think is going to happen. So, because like you said, I think most people know that he probably asked for the trade before the surgery decision.
Yeah.
Now, maybe, you know, I know they're also mad at the organization, so maybe that could temper some people and don't want to put it all on Jack. We'll see. But I think it'll mostly be negative reaction. And, so we'll just try to tell the story. Ray Ferraro and myself and Emily will also be on the broadcast, the one who did the interview with Jack, and we'll run a portion of that before the game. I think they're delaying the puck drop to like 7:13, which is a little bit later, to give us a bigger pregame show.
Yeah.
So it'll be, like you said, it is kind of a, you know, I don't know, like you said, event might not be quite the word, but it's definitely something different. It's definitely something every once in a while, these kinds of regular season games pop up. A little more juice in the building. I'm not sure if it'll, you know, result in more ticket sales, if there'll be a bigger crowd than normal. You would think, but I don't know for sure. So whatever it is, a lot of intrigue and curiosity, that's for sure.
And that anticipation around, you know, his return and the timing of the Emily Kaplan interview, which did a great job. And like you said, the pushback, a puck drop, it kind of, it tells the story right there itself, right? Like this is, it is a moment. And whether it'll be, like Duane said, maybe mixed, like you said, I think I'm with you, Bucci. I think that fans are so frustrated in Buffalo with the Sabres, the Pagulas, and it's a laundry list of things. Now, is it fair to take it out on one player? No. Like you said, I think that fans need to realize that these are human beings we're talking about, and they're the prime. The youth to win is so small with these athletes, and they need to make decisions on what's best for them. Now, I'm not defending Eichel in any way, I just think that that's not how you treat a star player. The fans, does every single fan know exactly what happened? No, of course not. Nobody ever will. I think that I'm with you. I think there'll be a lot more boos than maybe a friendly reaction, but it'll be interesting to see. Having you and Ray Ferraro and Emily on the broadcast will be a treat to watch. A big fan of Ray's as well. And so it'll be awesome. I had one quick question. When Bucci OT started, the Bucci OT challenge, where did that come from? Because that's been one of my favorite things to follow on Twitter.
Yeah, just a little silly game we played back in the day when we had ESPN hockey back in the late 90s and early 2000s, when, you know, it was off camera. Me, Ferraro, and Melrose, a game would go to overtime, a playoff game, and our show would start when the game ended. So just to kind of, you know, pass the time there, throw $1 on the set. We each pick a guy, and if your guy happened to score, you scoop up the other $2 and start the show. If not, we put the $1 back in our pocket and start the show. But it was just a kind of way to pass the time, little overtime pool of some sort. And then this one on Twitter kind of dawned on me after being on Twitter for a little bit, just soon after I joined. I said, oh, yeah, I remember that game we used to play. Maybe I'll just throw a tweet out there. I thought it was just kind of a throwaway, silly tweet. And I just couldn't believe the engagement as each game, you know, as I did it more and more. And all I did was retweeting people. That was the prize. I'll retweet 10 people. You know, that was kind of a big deal when social media started. That was high currency to get retweeted. So that's just where it started. And I kind of threw out the idea, maybe I'll make T-shirts and I'll give that'll be a prize. And then you can buy them, and I'll give away money to hockey charities and initiatives and youth hockey. And so, yeah, just that one little tweet blew up. And now I've given away like, you know, $250,000 to different hockey people. Like I bought the RPI women their third jerseys one year. I just kind of do it out of nowhere. Whatever kind of moves me to send a check, I do that. And so, it was really an unexpected gem, especially as we didn't have hockey all those years. Not that I wanted to be in the limelight or cared, but it did kind of kept me relevant in the hockey world the college hockey, and the Bucci Overtime Challenge. I mean, I remember Austin Matthews was like, 17 years old. He's DMing me, asking me for a Bucci T-shirt.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so all those guys, all those kids, they grew up with me. All those kids now who are Austin Matthews' age, who grew up via Twitter, I kind of have some cachet with them just because of the silly Twitter game, and so that it was nice to kind of stay relevant, and then the college hockey as well, to see me kind of wave the pom poms. I think all the guys who play college hockey, obviously appreciate that. To me, it's not I wasn't doing it as any kind of public service. It was just fun, try to make things fun. It wasn't planned. I have no type of business model. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a broadcaster, just to have some fun. They both kind of took off a little bit, and it's kind of probably unintentionally helped my career a little bit and give me, an avenue to meet people and people to be friendly, for me to come up to me and say hi. When I go down and talk to the player, or when we talk to the coaches on game day, go to morning skate, and sometimes we'll see guys walking out, and they'll all say, hey Bucci. It's just, Justin Hall of the Maple Leafs, the defenseman who scored with 0.6 seconds to go in the 2014 national semifinal game against North Dakota. I called that goal, and so I'm kind of tied to him. That's kind of cool. It's kind of neat to be attached to these guys for the rest of their life. When he's 80 years old, he'll play his grandkids that goal, and that's me describing it. That's really cool. Just like Trevor Zegras' goal in Buffalo.
Don't get started
like
on
$10 million views, I think, on Instagram. That's me screaming over that goal. So it's it was really, the Bucci stuff and the college hockey stuff was a nice bridge for me after we lost hockey, to kind of stay relevant in the hockey world a little bit.
Well, I appreciate it, and I know so many of us in the game do, because it's obviously, like we talked about it, ESPN now having hockey back is so cool. But to grow up in the era as a 91 birth date, where I still remember that the backdrop of the ESPN hockey music, right, and then to still follow your career with the college hockey has been so, in the Frozen Four has been so fun. So I love the answer, and I love how it was something that started on set, right, that grew into something so great. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of all hockey fans for the good that you have done for the hockey community.
Yeah, I thought it would have faded away by now, but it's
not going anywhere.
It's growing, baby.
It's not going anywhere.
I'd like to try to make it a little bit bigger, maybe add like a play for 99 cents. And as gambling becomes more legal in each state, to make it like a fun 99-cent game that people can win like $5,000 or something.
Right.
And then maybe raise more money, so I can give even more money to other things as well. Create a business out of it. So we'll see. Maybe there's still hope for that, but for now, it's still just a fun little way for fans to get engaged. Just heighten the broadcast. Even if they're not a fan of one of the teams, they can play and watch and root for their guy. Oh, here he comes, 2-on-1. Maybe that's and then he scores. And of course, after they score, they still got to be picked. They got to be one of the 10 people to get picked, because 300-400 people are going to get the right answer for just about every player. And so I can't send 300 T-shirts after every game. I'd be bankrupt, so I couldn't afford it, just the postage alone. So people think sometimes they automatically win if their person scores, but I think now it's been long enough. They know there's a second time you got to win, and that is just getting selected.
That's part of the fun, the anticipation. I think I've got one right out of 400, and just waited to see if I got the retweet.
Yeah, right.
That's part of the beauty, right? To see it grow organically. I think that's such a cool thing.
And I remember, obviously when we were going back and forth at the start of all this, I mentioned at the end of this, we are going to be giving away a college hockey T-shirt for sure, because just like Cully, I am a huge fan. Still not a Bucci OT winner. I'm still shooting my shot there, but maybe I can get some clout here having you on Two Goalies, One Mic. Doubt it, but
might help.
But yeah, we're gonna give away a T-shirt, maybe a hat.
Awesome.
Just to kind of, just to piggyback off what you said, really, trying to engage fans more. And, speaking of college hockey, obviously the Buffalo has a few, premier players in their system between, Owen Power, as you mentioned, Devin Levi, who is putting up possibly the greatest numbers we've seen from a goalie since another former Sabre, Ryan Miller of Michigan State. His numbers before leaving for the Olympics, which it just to be real, it is unbelievable to me that Team Canada didn't play him not one time during the Olympics, and then he tells him to stuff it, comes back and makes 60 saves in a 3-1 win for Northeastern. So shove it.
Well, the part that confuses me is Northeastern's run at the Beanpot, which is such a cool event. To not have him and to lose in that fashion, right, where he could have been the difference in a 1-0 game, I think that's got to sting a little bit for him. Nothing against Eddie Pasquale, who I played against in the OHL, that chose to play.
No, nothing. But
your thoughts on the situation, and do the Sabres have the answer in net with Levi or whether Portillo at Michigan? What are your thoughts? Because that's such an important part. And with Buffalo, with Hasek, then DeMiller, we were lucky for so long.
Yeah.
And then in this route to see the coming and going of, nothing against those guys. It wasn't always on them, but we haven't had that stalwart in net that we were so used to throughout me and Duane's childhood, from Hasek to Miller and, Marty Baron. And do we have the answer in that? I know it's a tough question to ask, but I like the return. And Levi, it's hard to lose Sam Reinhart. I think more fans are realizing. I realized his value. I love that guy. Happy to see him doing well with the Panthers. They're such a fun team to watch. Not to see them dismantle the Sabres like they did the other night. But do the Sabres have the answer in that right now? What are your thoughts on that in the system?
Yeah, we'll see. Like you said, it's like football. You got to have a quarterback. In hockey, you got to have a goalie. And, he kind of reminds me of UC Saros from Nashville. He's a small guy, but he moves really well. And you can tell he really reads the play well. And he's smart and he has good hockey sense. And again, he's not the biggest guy, but he's quick and he kind of reads the play. So we'll see. And I'm sure if he had it all over again, he'd much rather gone to the Beanpot than go, to the Olympics. I don't know if the experience was good enough for him. Maybe it still was, even though he didn't play. Maybe he still enjoyed it. But I'm sure, like you said, missing out on, hat trophy T-shirt season is, there's not many of those you play for, and you love to win every one. And so I'm sure he would have really, really enjoyed that experience. Like you said, he could have been the difference. And we'll see about Portillo. He's the opposite. He's a gigantic guy. So one's huge. A big guy, one's a little guy, and maybe some competition. So we'll see. Goalies are often late bloomers. You get, they can bloom late. But so we'll see. I'm sure they'll both, come to rookie camp and in the summer, and they can gauge and see if they think they're ready, or if they want them to go back to college or go to the American League and play 50 games and begin that process of a bigger schedule. College is only a couple of games a week. It's a little different. So yeah, like you said, it's a little early to talent evaluate, but they both have skills. And you got to hit on a goalie, man. You got to have a goalie, or it just really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm big on Portillo myself. I love Devin Levi. We've had Eric on the show before, and there's one thing in goaltending, and me and Johnny both being 5'10" goalies will tell you can't teach size. You just can't. You're either big or you're not, and the more net you take up, the better. And Eric takes up a lot of net. UPL Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen here in Buffalo, who this year before he got hurt, and now he's back in Rochester playing, leading the Amherst. But he played very well for Buffalo when called upon here after the Craig Anderson injury. And he's 6'4". Eric is on skates, I think 6'7". The kid is massive, and just a very, very well-spoken kid. Like I said, when we had him on, he was a great interview, very, very well-spoken. And competition is honestly, for my opinion, I'm sure Cully will agree. Competition just makes makes you better in that when it comes to that position. And I look at Eric and I see a very almost like a hybrid with his size and his athleticism. So I'm really interested to see how them two push each other to be better and where we are in net 3 years from now, because I think both those guys are probably 2-3 years away from being legitimate NHL starters, and where Buffalo decides to go in between as a bridge between that. Because I don't know if I see Craig Anderson coming back for another year.
Yeah, probably not. But they'll have the cap room. So like you said, there's always a goalie out there you can give $5 million to, and who can be pretty good. But it doesn't. Look at Grubauer, has not worked out in Seattle. Nope. So you just don't know with goalies. You gotta. You just got. But you only have to hit on one. So like you said, you bring these guys in. You look at them in this summer. Do they sense like they're ready at all, or is it like you said? Do we give them 3 years, 2 to 3 years? So in the meantime, do we go out and try to find somebody? Korpisalo's a free agent. Do we roll the dice on that, and bet on him? So that as you rebuild here and bring people in, you want to have, keep the games close, win some games. So then it helps develop everybody. So, helps develop the younger guys. It helps keep the veterans like a Tuck now engaged and don't turn them off. And them sour on the situation. Like obviously it did Eichel. And like we said, maybe it will McDavid. And then they want to get out. So that's why you need that momentum. I use that word momentum, where you're getting better, you're winning more games, you're sniffing the playoffs, you're near that wild card line. So you can develop the young guys with meaningful games, and you keep the old guys engaged so they don't want to leave.
Yeah.
It's that magic formula, right? And Duane touched on it a little bit, and I know you've touched on it in your broadcast, but goaltenders develop at a different rate, right? It's a different beast. It's a different animal. We tend to hit our peak a little bit later in our careers. And I'm a firm believer of doing it the right way, because when you try to, I guess, skip ahead in the rebuild or try to jump ahead, that's when you see things kind of blow up in your face. And in Buffalo, we've seen that. You try to fill the gap with a Taylor Hall or Eric Stahl from last season, and it blows up. And I think there's only one right way to do it. And it's being patient and getting as much draft capital, being smart in free agency, not trying to jump ahead too soon, which I think we've seen here in Buffalo within this past 10 years a few times, right? Like you only want to go through it so much where you don't lose those guys, but you're still close enough to the playoffs where they're engaged, like you mentioned. So I hope we see some of that, whether it be a UPL, whether it's a free agent like Korpisalo. It'll be interesting to see what Kevin Adams and co do in the meantime while these young college prospects develop. And I think the one thing, Bucci, I want to ask you, you've seen teams that have hit on their second and third rounders, right? That have been able to contribute on their entry-level deals, that have had success, whether it be the Blackhawks and their run, and the LA Kings, and even Vegas in their start. It's so important to draft well, and we haven't done a great job in Buffalo outside, even missing on some of our first rounders. So hopefully Kevin Adams and the people he surrounds himself with can help with that. Is there anything else that you see is a way forward for Buffalo or any areas? For me, looking at the job Donnie Granato's done with like a Tage Thompson, right, or a Casey Middlestat, where a lot of fans have given up on those two early in their careers. So just your opinion on that, and is he maybe the guy going forward that can help us with Donnie Granato, and what is the timeline for you for the Sabres to be competitive?
Yeah, Donnie, I think, is a guy he's developed with the USA program. He's used to doing that. He moved Tage Thompson to the middle this year, and he's got to make him rich because of it. He probably saved his career. And so, yes, like you said, it's building up that top six, defining roles in the bottom six. But I really do think the recipe, since earlier this year, was from the goalie out. That's where they got to go, with Dahlin and Power. And then, like I said, do they make a move for Chychrun and give a good guy with a manageable contract to help bring Power along, or someone like that? I think that's going to be important to give him a good pair to bring him in the league and to go with, because it's really going to, as good as he is, that's how good the team is going to be. I'm not sure if Dahlin is going to be a high-level guy. I think he'll be a good player. I don't know if he'll ever be an elite player in the league. He can be, but a very, very good one. And that's the thing. A lot of these guys are like, he can be a number one center, but he's really a number two on a good team. You hear that a lot. And so that's what they need. And even Tage Thompson, he might be a good number two guy. So how are you going to get that number one guy? Like you said, get lucky on a second-round pick like Patrice Bergeron. Lucky on a third-round pick like Brad Marchand. That set up the Bruins for a decade. They don't hit in those picks, then they're not good for a decade, instead of going to 3 Stanley Cup finals in a decade, And even David Pastrnak fell late first round when they're picking in the 20s. And you don't
with those 3 picks, right? Like they had a back and one guy hits, right?
Yeah, it was 3 guys that get an example with the Bruins, and they became the best line in hockey: a 1, a 2, and a 3. A late 1, a 2, and a 3. And so a lot of it's luck. A lot of it is a good scout, and a lot of it is the organization spending on scouts. If you're going to go cheap on scouting and not fly around the world, seeing guys in person as you make these important picks, and having guys like you think, oh, that guy's going to be a great third-round pick. If he's there, we're going to get him, Or do they even have that kind of depth in their scouting? So those are the things we don't know. So a lot of it's luck, getting that right guy at the right time. It's hard to predict when you draft 18, 19-year-olds how good Brad Marchand was going to be. There's a lot of guys who have, who have underdog kind of stories and not sure how it's going to work out, and it might be just the right place, right time, which also affects their careers. So it's creating an organization where right place, right time can work, where there is support, good coaching, good veterans. You bring the right support people in. And that's what I mean with Power. Have the right D pair for him, have the right support system, and then have the right goalie to save his mistakes sometimes, which can keep his confidence higher. So you make a mistake, it's in the back of the net. That's going to affect your confidence. So if you have a goalie who can maybe erase some of those, it helps a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lot of luck. There is certainly a blueprint and a plan and people who know how to do it. Steve Yzerman did it in Tampa Bay. Now he's trying to do it in Detroit. He proved he could do it once. It looks like they're kind of going in that direction. But even for them to make the next step is tough. That now you got to really hit on draft picks. You got to draft the right free agent. People are coming up on their second contracts, and you're up around the cap, and you got to get that right goalie. So it's hard, man. It's not easy. As Buffalo fans know, it's the longest drought. If they don't make the playoffs next year, it'll be the longest drought in NHL history. That team has never gone that long without making the playoffs in the history of the league. Now, of course, there were 6 teams for so long, so it was hard not to make the playoffs. To go that long. But so that's what we're up against. But again, I do like hope. It's a little bit of luck, a lot of hard work, but I do think they have the stuff right now. If they get lucky in those other areas and make the right calls, that they can get up there. The Penguins are aging. The Capitals are aging, the Bruins are aging. So, now the Rangers are going up. So that's one team, it goes the other way. So they have to look at it that way. Like you said, 3 to 4 years when those other teams who are still playoff teams, but maybe on the downward trend a little bit, they can take advantage, and that can be their window. That's how they have to look at it.
Yeah. I look at the deadline too, and you mentioned finding a defensive partner for Owen Power when he inevitably makes his debut. That's why I think, you think seller, but if I'm Kevin Adams, maybe I'm looking for that future D partner at the deadline. Seeing who's available. I don't know.
I would because of Chikrin's contract. It's so manageable that's the one guy I look at. That would make sense.
It would. And, Kevin Adams has already said, he plans on at least attempting to weaponize all that cap space they have. They did do it, I think, with Johnny Boychuk. I know they have his cap still on their payroll. Yep. But, you have all that cap room. It's almost, irresponsible not to at least try and, be that broker, that third-team broker, maybe in a Giroux trade. You trade him to us. We'll take half his salary. We'll trade him. You take half his salary. And now you have Claude Giroux, and you just freed up however many $1 million on your salary cap. I could definitely see us doing that. I think it's a smart move, and maybe that is where maybe you get your defenseman, or maybe you get your picks. You accumulate more picks to maybe trade and maybe get the draft to find that defenseman. I don't know.
Yeah. You take on salaries to get a draft pick, right? You're not going to get really a player. You're not going to get Claude Giroux, but you're going to get a second round pick from somebody for taking on $5 million the rest of the year.
Exactly.
Or first, like you said, then you take that pick, another second round pick you have, and then try to get Chikrin or try to get someone like you said, or move up in the draft if you notice somebody. So those are the decisions we talk about, that you have to make those right ones, and obviously being informed and good at your job makes it a better chance of those working out. They don't always work out, but if you're good at what you do, they're going to work out more than not. And to try to hit that home run or really make those real nice calculated decisions. That's what it's all about. That's how you build an organization. But there's 32 teams, man. It's tough. So you better make the right ones.
Yep. And I'm a big fan of Manson.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'm a big fan of Manson. I know I've heard rumors that he might be. I think he'd be the perfect kind of tough physical defenseman to either put with a Darlene or even with an Owen Power. Right. A guy who I think he's going to be 30 years old. I think so. Guy's been in the league for a bit and really can kind of teach him the ways of the NHL and allow him to maybe play his game a little bit more. And you have a guy like Manson on the blue line who will sit back and play defense and maybe cover up for some of the rookie mistakes a guy like him might make.
Right, exactly. Invest in the back end with Power and Darlene by giving them really stout veterans, like you said. That only helps your goalie. And then from there, you hope all the forwards that you already have continue to develop a little bit, and then slowly plug in the right guys. We mentioned the second round picks, third round picks. Will somebody pop and become a top 6 guy? You can build the bottom 6 fine. That's not hard. But to build that top 6 and maybe almost top 9 nowadays, you're almost thinking like 7 to 9, maybe 8 guys. And then, even work in pairs. You can have 6 and then have 2 guys on each line, and then the third guys can just be like Michael Bunting in Toronto. Identify a guy that makes $950,000, put him with Marner and Matthews, and now you have a 30-goal scorer at $950,000. So that's what you need. You need those pairs. Our Thompson and Tuck a pair. You put a cheap guy with him who can still score 20, 25 goals, who wouldn't on his own, but he would with them. And then you go down the bottom, then you have Krebs and somebody else. And then you have, whether it's Quinn, and you just need those pairs, and then you get those third guys cheaper, and then have the strong back end. Now you got a team that can win.
Yeah, that blueprint for success is you laid it out nicely there. I hope we have it's to see the Amherst have some success with the Paterkas and the Quinns. It'll be really interesting to see. But I think you hit on a key point that a lot of fans might not understand. And maybe we messed up a little bit with Darlene. You have to invest and protect your assets like power, because you don't get the generational talent gets thrown around a lot, but you've seen what he can do at the college level, and what we saw last year at the World Championship. It was just amazing for me. That was my first real look at his game, and he looked like a man. And he to see him get minutes in the overtime in the medal game, really an eye opener for me. And just the Chychrun idea, I know I've seen it before, but you bringing that up, I think it's so important for us to protect Power in a way that we let him develop into the player that he can be. So now we have our true 1A 1B defensive pairs, right, and then build from the back out and allow that goaltender to maybe help us out there. So just wanted to hit on that point. Real quick question. I know we don't have you for a long time, but I obviously loved chicken parm. It was my go-to pregame meal.
Yeah.
Just a quick background on that, because I enjoy following the social media and the pictures.
It's great.
I now cook it for my daughters. They love it. I miss the regularity of my routine playing and having, I used to go to Boston Pizza and have it right. Like, so I've had my favorite chicken parm spot. So where did that start?
Yeah, just really with Ferraro, when back in the days, back in the late 90s when NHL Tonight was on, and he would show up, and I didn't really grow up with chicken parm, as my mom didn't make it. I don't know if I even ate very much of it in my 20s. I couldn't afford to go to restaurants in my 20s. So it just started to become a thing. It's like, this is an awesome meal. It's perfect. It's good post-workout, low carbs, pasta. It's nice. It's filling, but it's not expensive. It can be cheap. So yeah, it just all made. So I just kind of went overboard with that. And then I started calling him chicken parm because of it. Just a silly nickname. The guy's nickname is Dinner. And so now he goes through the airport and people scream chicken parm at him. And then, of course, the Twitter thing, again, I don't know how this stuff happens on Twitter. It just happens by accident. I just start rating dinners and starting roasting people. And I think they like that. So it's just become like anything.
Get back on Tinder.
Yeah, like anything with me, it's an accident. I don't plan anything.
No, that one where someone posted their the chicken parm their girlfriend made them. You were like, get back on Tinder.
Back on Tinder, yeah. I tell people. I look at them. If I don't have a response right away, I let it go. I don't, it has to come out naturally.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's too
Agreed.
forced. So yeah, really, I for every one I post, people send 40. So there's no lack of pictures.
I think it's a testament to your talent as not only an analyst and a broadcaster and an anchor at ESPN, but just like how you said, everything that's it happened organically, right? And I think that's the beauty of you and what makes you great. And I just appreciate what you've done for the game as a Rocky fan. And, I look forward to tomorrow night, you calling the game and seeing what that reaction will be.
It'll be fun.
In all these years, you're just carrying the rope with the, like you've done at ESPN. I can't tell you how much that has meant to me and, our generation. And to see ESPN back and to you calling more hockey is awesome.
Yep. Does Jack Eichel score tomorrow night?
Yeah,
I think he does.
I think he does too.
I'm on a good run here. I had an Alex Ovechkin goal. I got the call last Thursday, and I called a Matthews goal on Monday. So I've been a kind of a superstar heater here. So this is all new for
So
me.
you're calling it here first?
Goal, it's awesome, you know.
You're calling it here first. Jack Eichel scores tomorrow night.
I'm calling it.
You heard it here on Two Goalies, One Mic. I love it.
It's going to be a big game for him. He's going to bring it.
Yeah, sure. Just much like when he played Toronto, he really did take that. And you remember obviously how serious that Buffalo Toronto rivalry would get right up the QEW. Like it used to get heated, especially in the late '90s. Obviously with Ray and Domi back over there, them punching each other in the face every single night. Darcy Tucker, Brad May, Matt Barnaby, just. It used to get really heated. I remember as a kid just going to the games with my dad and like seeing find cars from Toronto or from Ontario, and you'd wipe lotion underneath the handles. You throw toilet paper on the cars. We took it seriously as kids, man. We hated the Leafs. Like we didn't do anything any crazy dramatic like criminal, but like whatever. You come to our barn, this is what you're gonna get.
It's part of the deal. It's why these guys make a great living, because the fans are into it.
But yeah, he would get juiced up for those games, telling Toronto fans to sit down after he scores. He's going to be juiced tomorrow night. And I'm excited. I know, like I'm going to get to the game late myself. I'm as I told Cully, Cully, I told you I'll be on the drop tomorrow, right before puck drop with Greg Wyshynski. And excited for that, but I'm hoping I don't miss that Eichel tribute video, because I really do want to see the reaction of the fans and see which way it goes. Maybe, like I said, maybe Bucci's right and it's going to be all bad. Maybe it's mixed. I don't know. I think I've seen enough reaction on social media to think that maybe you are right, but I think that anger is also directed at the ownership box for sure. Before we let you go, I do want to ask you, since you've been in Buffalo, like, where are your spots? Where are you going to eat for dinner? You're big on your food and your beers and whatnot. Like, where are you hitting up? Are you going to Chefs?
Well, I just got texted by Ferrari. I got to meet him in 10 minutes.
Okay.
And he says, I'm driving, by the way, chop. So he's already, So yeah, he didn't say where we're going to dinner. Someone else is making the reservation. So we'll see.
I'll make a suggestion. Mulberry's is a good spot.
I think the Sabres coach might be making the reservation. So
Granado, Donnie Meatballs. I love it.
I mean, Ferraro did marry his sister, so there's kind of a connection there.
If you get a chance to ever hit up Mulberry's while you're in Buffalo.
I heard about that parm, so maybe that's it. I don't know.
The parm, and they have a meatball the size of your head there. It's one of their specialty things.
That's my go-to app these days. It's 7 7/8. So that's a pretty big meatball. So I don't know.
One thing we're doing on Two Goalies on Mike, again, before we let you go, is we are doing our, this being a goalie podcast, we reach out to local goaltenders, junior goaltenders, wherever you play. Send us your videos for your save of the week, and this is our save of the week, brought to you by Kyle Rivers. Debut it with none other than Bucci on the stream.
Let's see.
How about this defenseman just bailing? Look at this.
That was good. That's Darren Pang stuff right there.
Darren Pang, two-pad jammer, making the Dominator here in Buffalo proud.
Two-pad windmill. Double pad stack windmill. Big.
Yep. And then how about like in the beginning, that defenseman just, I'm going to go on a change. Just bailed.
He was tired.
Didn't want it.
Awesome.
Hey, John, we appreciate your time so much. Go enjoy your dinner. Enjoy your time in Buffalo.
Yep.
Thanks again for everything you've done for the hockey community. It's been a real pleasure, a real treat, and I know our fans will enjoy this.
Thanks. Love you guys. Love Buffalo. Thanks for watching tomorrow.
Yep.
Peace.
Yeah, he's an absolute wagon. I love it. Cully, he made a lot of good points there. He predicted straight up that Jack Eichel will score tomorrow night. Big news, big predictions from Bucci. And I did like a lot of what he had to say about the future of this team.
Yeah, you know what? He's a smart hockey guy. You don't get to be where he is without knowing the ins and outs, and it's great. You look at Ray Ferraro, his partner, a guy that played in the league, and I'd love to be a fly on the wall for some of those dinners or some of those, commercial breaks at ESPN or what, the guys he's worked with over the years. What a treat to have him on. I hope our fans enjoyed it. It's just what an icon. That John Buccigross, great job. A lot of props to you, Duane, for setting that up. I'm doing this out of a hockey pro shop. People have been banging on the glass to get their skate sharpened, I'm just happy that we got through Bucci without me having to have somebody walk in. Had a couple knocks on the windows. Hope people don't realize, where I'm at.
You're holding.
Thank you for making this work, Duane. That was fun.
You're holding the pro shop hostage right now, but rightfully so. We need to.
Everybody's just walking by, and
I love it. I absolutely love it. What are your predictions for tomorrow night, Cully?
I think that obviously Vegas, much deeper team. I think Eichel, he gets on the board. I don't think he scores. It's tough. I nothing against the guy. I just think that he's always been, an emotional guy, and I think the emotions get the better of him tomorrow. But I could be wrong. Maybe the Boo train lights his fire in a good way. I don't know. I'd like to see him have some success. I don't hate the guy. I never was a huge fan, but I'm not going to root against somebody just because he wanted to do something medically with his body that we weren't on board with.
Yeah.
And I think that organizationally, I don't know everything that went on. I think the people that have this tremendous amount of hate towards somebody, hey, that's your right as a fan. I don't know. I would like to see the Sabres have success. And I hope that trade helps us be in a position to bring back Party in the Plaza, be in the playoffs. And if that means Jack Eichel goes on to have success right now, so be it. But I like the return we got. I like Tuck's game. To see his three games ago, I forget who we were playing. Tuck makes a play on the boards to get Skinner the puck. And then it was against Minnesota. And then to see his goal was so cool and such a wonderful moment, and to see it happen organically. But I got to get out of here. There's a line forming outside the door. And I got to get to my next rink. So such a treat. Episode 89. Two goalies, one Mike. Duane, this has been a lot of fun. What's your prediction really quick before I go?
Prediction. We're gonna take a look at that picture real quick. I was trying to get it to load during the episode. It was taking forever. So sorry about that, Call. I really you wanted to see that.
Cool story. We met him at like a college hockey. I was out in Connecticut coaching St. Francis. And we saw him in the hallway because we were watching like a Sacred Heart UConn game. He was just watching. I'm like, is that John Buccigross? And, he's obviously working, but he took time to take a picture with every one of my guys. That was 5 years ago. To be that's his character, right? And that's why I did, he's such an awesome person to be on your side. And you've seen it all these years at ESPN where hockey hasn't been a mainstay. And that's why I love him. And that's why this was such a treat. I probably looked like it during the interview, like a kid in a candy shop, just being able to talk to one of my idols. Like I said, I met him. Thank you for posting that. But it probably happens to him all the time. But the impact it had on my players, it's something they'll never forget, right? And really cool moment. So, what's your prediction before I got to go? Because they're about to block down the barricade.
My prediction would be, I do think Vegas wins. I'd say 5-3. I think Eichel scores twice. I think he's going to be too juiced not to put at least one in the net. I think he gets two. I think Tuck scores for sure. I think he'll be just as juiced to welcome his old team into his new barn, at home, because this is where he's always called home. This is where he's always dreamed of playing. So I think both guys get on the board tomorrow night, and it'll be an entertaining game. But I do think Vegas pulls it out in the end.
Yeah, I mean, we're not a contender yet. Vegas is.
We did beat Toronto 5-1. We did.
Listen, I love that. Hey,
yeah,
I'm not
you gotta love that.
Winning hockey games. I just, it's gonna be an emotional night. I look forward to seeing, what kind of passion it brings out, whether it's positive or negative. I mean, it's passion, right? And I think that with everything crazy going on in the world, it's nice to get that distraction and be a hockey fan, a sports fan for a little bit, right? And I think we all need a little bit of that in our life, and where everything is happening. So it's something fun to look forward to. And I mean, I like your prediction. I hope the Sabres pull one out. It's kind of like a, feel it Jack moment. But, like I said, I'm not going to root against the guy for the rest of his career because he did what's best for him. And interesting that Bucci brought up McDavid leaving a couple times. I know people in Edmonton are probably, would hate that, but I think it's just going to be, it's harder with the cap these days, but listen, guys want to win. And if it's not working out in one place, they want out. I think we have the right people in the right places. I think Kevin Adams is and I'm going on a limb here, but I think he's done a good job so far. I think Donnie Granato's done a great job. Just look at the development in Tage Thompson. And like Bucci said, he probably saved Tage Thompson's career by making that switch to a center and allowing him to get to utilize both sides of the ice and to get engaged in the play more. And to see little developments like that, Donnie's always been great. Like he did it at the program for so long. So I'm confident we're moving in the right direction. I just think that we have to stick to the plan. It's so easy to jump the gun and kind of cut corners, and that's where teams get screwed over. So I just, what an interview from Bucci. Duane, great job setting that up. Have fun are you going to the game tomorrow, you said?
Yeah. I mentioned I'm going to be appearing on the drop with Greg Wyshynski, like right before a puck drop. So I'm going to be late. I hope I don't miss any of the festivities. I know they said they're going to push it to like 7:15. Hopefully that gives me at least somewhat enough time to make it to the game, where I'm only missing 5 or 10 minutes. I'm about 20-minute drive from the rink. So we'll see. But yeah, I do plan on going. I'm going to buy my tickets tonight, and me and producer Steve are going to hit it up. And, hopefully we'll see a Sabres win. Probably not though, but I hate not being optimistic about it. But I just think there's just going to be too much energy on the Vegas side of things with Jack coming back to Buffalo. So
at least you don't have to do your on the drop interview in a hockey pro shop and have kids banging. I probably prevented, somebody from getting their skate sharp, and I feel bad.
Someone blowing out their ankle they don't have an edge.
It's Cully's fault. But no, I appreciate you setting this up. Fans, be sure to catch Duane with Wyshynski tomorrow. That's going to be a fun one, buddy. Good luck. Have fun.
Big moment for Two Goalies, One Mic.
Yeah, this has been a fun interview. Thank you for making it work. Thanks for dealing with my makeshift studio. Off to the next rink. It's States weekend. So all my teams that are competing in the state tournament coming up, trying to get the teams ready. So it brings back good memories.
Yep.
Thank you for working with me here and the makeshift studio. Hi, guys. There we go. So, it's getting crazy here. I love you guys. Episode 89, Two Goalies, One Mic. Be sure to catch Duane tomorrow at Greg Wyshynski. What time's that start?
It starts at 6:30, but I'll be on at around 6:50. They're bringing me in, so
that'll be awesome. Can't wait to view it. I'll probably be on the ice, catch it after, and catch the tail end of the Sabres game. But for Duane Stenell, I'm Johnny Cullen. Two Goalies, One Mic. That was awesome, man. What an interview with Butch. What a guy. Love him.
All right. You guys have a good one. This was episode 89 of Two Goalies, One Mic, signing off for Cully. We'll talk to you next week.